John Macaroon joins the show. Typically it's Thursday, but we had Thanksgiving, so how fitting. He joins us Friday after a game day. Perfect timing. John Macaroon, my guy. Welcome to the show, my man. Hope all is well. By the way, if you have not seen a single John Macaroon segment, what the hell are you doing? John is the voice of reason for the show, and he's one of my good friends, one of our good friends. John, host of course, the Detroit Sports Podcast and publisher of All Lions. John, we'll start off, before we get into the details of the game, can I just get your reaction? You were there. Some of your takeaways from what happened yesterday.
Yeah, happy Black Friday, everybody. Real fast, just like everybody else this morning. Probably need a little what they call hair of the dog.
Hell yeah, John! Don't blame you.
Wake you up a little bit.
What the fuck was that? Yeah, that was, that was not something that Lions fans had wanted to see. Obviously, going into that game, Lions have lost six consecutive games on Thanksgiving. They wanted to show out in front of a national TV audience, obviously a division game. I was disappointed that they played at a level that was really beneath what they were capable of. But like you guys said, voice of reason, it was on short rest. They did play a tough physical game against the Bears. Not to make excuses, but I just think that there was a level of play there that you could see the spark was not there. They were not flying around to the football the way they had been. And I think that playing 3 games in 11 days took a toll on this team. I mean, you looked at it right from the beginning. The first play of the game, Jordan Love goes deep to Christian Watson for a 53-yard bomb and set the tone right there from there. And I just think that the Lions were not ready to go for this contest. And I think that in a game like that, it's all about being focused and playing mentally strong. And they just didn't execute at a high enough level to win that game.
All right, so maybe this is panicking a little bit. I want to get your thoughts on this and tell me if I'm either right or wrong. When I watched the Lions yesterday and what I've been seeing lately from the Eagles, 49ers, and Cowboys, it feels to me like the Lions are a level below all 3 of them and multiple levels below the Eagles and the 49ers. Am I wrong, or am I right to believe that?
Yeah, look, when you look at pure talent, yeah, the Lions do not stack up with the Eagles and the 49ers. But I do think that we are overreacting a little bit to this one loss. It is an 8-3 team, and you look at it with full preparation. This next period of time for the Lions, I think, will be critical in these next stretch of games. But I do think when you look at how the Lions are built and what they're trying to aim for, they believe that they play well together as a team collectively. And when they clean up the mistakes, when they play better, and I think that the biggest topic, one of the biggest reasons that the Lions lost is the play of Jared Goff. He hasn't played to the level that he has earlier this year. And if he's going to play like that, I think I got into a discussion on my podcast about Jared Goff and the turnovers. And I had said on this week's episode, I'm not concerned about the interceptions. I'm concerned about the fumbles.
Yeah.
When he got into trouble with the Rams, it was because he kept putting the football on the ground. And you saw it there. If the offensive line doesn't block well for Jared Goff, he gets happy feet, and then you start to see him scrambling, which is a sight I don't want to see. And it's
like
easy
watching
for
a baby
the
deer
opposition.
being born.
Yeah, exactly.
It is, though,
it's
bro.
clumsy. It's absolutely. It's not something that is going to be advantageous for the Lions. But I look at it, Sam. Yes, naturally speaking, the Eagles and the 49ers are very talented and they play at a high level. But at the same time, Detroit collectively, when they play well, they can play at a very high level, and they still have a lot of room for improvement. We all think that the Lions are taking this football team into the postseason. They still have 6 games to improve, clean it all up, and I do think that when the time comes, the Lions will be playing their best football. I don't think you're going to see games like that for the remainder of the season, but it is concerning because the aspects of this football team that you need to be stepping up to win playoff games wasn't there against the Packers.
And I'm glad you brought up Jared Goff, John, because I know we've had a lot of conversations about him, and I don't want to use this data because there's a big sample size of him in Detroit playing really well, but you kind of mentioned it. Over the last 2 games, the man has 6, if you want to put it like this, it kind of sounds rough, but 6 turnovers in 5 days. We could go with 2 games, though. It sounds a little better that way. 2 games, 6 turnovers. It's his worst stretch of football since 2019. And I went back and I did the research because I'm like, wait, has he ever had a 2-game stretch like this? He had a 2-game stretch in 2019 2019 with the Rams, where he had 7 turnovers. He had 3 turnovers against the Browns September 22nd, 2019, including 2 interceptions and a fumble. And then he followed that up with 3 interceptions and a fumble against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So 7 in 2 games in 2019, 6 in 2 games now with the Detroit Lions. Again, Jared with Detroit, this has been kind of a different Jared. Everyone talks about his growth as a quarterback. But again, John, people bring up the offensive line, but I'm willing to give the offensive line a pass because for the most part, they've been a reason why they've won games. So I can't look at one bad game from the offensive line and go, well, they're the reason we lost. No, is this something that we should be concerned about with Jared moving forward? Do you think this is just a hiccup in the middle of a season for him?
Oh, Jared Goff talk, another hit, baby. Oh.
And John, can you, and for the people that really do want to extend this, man, does it maybe raise questions at this point? Is that fair?
Oh, okay. That's part of the reason why Sean McVay got so upset. He led the NFL in turnovers over a couple-year stretch towards the tail end of his tenure. Look, you go as your quarterback goes. If Jared Goff is going to play like that, look, you guys, early on in the game, you saw it was back and forth. The Packers scored first, then the Lions. And then what happens on the next drive? Boom, there was a fumble for a touchdown, and you're already in the hole. So I look at it with Jared Goff, and he's got to clean it up. He has to protect the football. But here's the reason why you can give him a little bit of a pass is that the offensive line really did miss Jonah Jackson. He's an integral part of that offensive line. They tried Colby Sorsdahl. Unfortunately, he got benched. He was doing some things that you don't want to see from a rookie in terms of, not blocking effectively, not understanding exactly his assignments. And you realize, okay, for Jared Goff to be successful, he needs a clean pocket. Any quarterback that has that much pressure coming at him is going to be a little bit unsettled. And Jared Goff simply can't evade those defenders. But I do think what you can see when you guys watch the All-22, because I definitely took notes watching that, he needs to recognize better where the blitz is coming from. If you're not recognizing where those attackers are coming from, then you're a sitting target, you're a sitting duck. So absolutely, Jared Goff. This is the reason why people would not pay him $50 million, because when he goes bad, it's really bad, and it's something he's going to correct. Obviously, they're going to see the offensive line has to play better. But, guys, it was an outlier. Taylor Decker had a bad game. You guys saw Penei Sewell getting pushed back a little bit. You saw a performance by that offensive line that was drastically different than what we had seen before. I think collectively that offense will improve. And, yes, Jared Goff won't be looking like the guy that got booted from L.A. In the next stretch of games.
And that's why I asked the question, because people would say, well, Jeff, how can you give the offensive line a pass? Well, John, you know this, and you watch NFL. Not everything's going to be perfect. This offensive line is not going to be elite every single game. There's going to be hiccups. And to me, it's up to the quarterback to kind of find ways to kind of navigate through that. But, Lucas, what do you got for him?
Yeah, John, so basically, I'm going to be devil's advocate here. And a lot of this has to do with my perspective on a Panic Friday, a true definition of a Black Friday. This is a gloomy Friday in Detroit. But why should I not be panicked if the Lions have looked this way for a month, playing against very mid to below mid teams? They played against the Raiders, the Chargers, the Bears, and the Packers. Why do I not need to be panicked when they are playing that way against solid teams? And then when it comes to time for the playoffs, they have to play Dallas, they have to play San Francisco, they have to play Philadelphia. Why should I not be panicked about this team when it's time for the rubber to hit the road against teams that right now are playing good on offense, defense, and special teams? Did you see San Francisco's punter last night caused 2 muff punts just off the way he kicks the ball? And I know it sounds stupid, but they're rolling on all 3 levels right now. And the Lions, I know there's still December to go, but the Lions, out of those 3 teams, they look the absolute worst when it comes to the top tier of the NFC. Why should I not be panicked?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we all have big expectations for the Lions. And I think what we can clearly see is this is not a Super Bowl caliber team. This is a team that needs to get to the postseason, get their experience, see how far they can go, and then really stock up for next year. Next year is the target year when you can really look to win the Super Bowl. But that doesn't mean the Lions still can't have a productive season. I think that when you look at this football team, you realize offensively, Jamison Williams steadily getting better, getting his routes in order, being a lot more crisp. You're going to see the continued involvement of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. I don't think that Jared Goff is going to play that porous. Now, here's the thing. You guys got to remember, we're sitting here talking about a team that is 8-3. and you're going to have an opportunity now for Dan Campbell. If you're going to stay panicked, that kind of indicates to me you don't trust Dan Campbell sitting in that film room watching and learning how to correct and make changes. I think the Lions will be able to play a little bit better and not have so many turnovers offensively. I think they'll start faster. Look, guys, that performance yesterday was listless, and it was the byproduct of them having played Sunday. Remember, the Thursday football that you guys watch is not anywhere near what we see on Sunday. And on Sundays, the Lions are a lot crisper. They make more plays, and they do end up with turnovers. You got to also remember, Brian Branch is going through a learning curve. Jack Campbell going through a steep learning curve. You got Kirby Joseph banged up a little bit. This extra rest will help this Detroit Lions team moving forward. And yeah, I know we all like style points. We'd like the Lions to win by 14 every week, but that's just not how the NFL works. The Lions are going to play gritty, tough football, and they've shown you earlier this year that they can stay in games, and when the time comes late, they can make the critical play on defense, just like they did against the Bears, where it might not be pretty. Aaron Glenn has told reporters a lot of times, look, we're not the 85 Bears. It's a bend, don't break style of defense, but when what the Lions are hoping for is in those critical moments when it's time for the defense to make plays, they expect the likes of Aiden Hutchinson and Cam Sutton, Jerry Jacobs to make plays, Kirby Joseph. And I think if you give some trust for this Detroit Lions football team, they'll reward you this year.
Yeah, John. I mean, you need turnovers. I think you would agree there. This defense is one of those defenses. We could talk about the pass rush. We could talk about the secondary because the pass rush to me is a problem, John. But you're right. It's a bend-don't-break defense, and how they've had success is just creating turnovers. And this defense is not doing that. They got to get back to that. Appreciate you for joining, John. I appreciate you. For people that don't know, if you're in the chat, you know John. He's always hanging around. Publisher for All Lions and host of the Detroit Sports Podcast. John, can't wait till next week. Hopefully, there'll be a better attitude. We'll have a better, there'll be a better morale in the room here. We could preview that Saints game. But appreciate you for taking the time, John. Happy Black Friday, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Things I'm thankful for, being part of the Woodward family. Thank you for having me on. Sam, Lucas, Ball Knower, JB, Jeff, I appreciate it. Anytime you want, baby. I love talking about the Lions. And even though it's gloomy on this Friday, drink up, baby. It cures it all, baby. Drink up.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, John.
There you go. John
Appreciate it,
McAroo,
John.
the voice of reason. It's always a good time.
The doc.
The doc. All right, let's